I started the night shift at Elbridge Storage and Logistics in March. The pay was good, and since I didn't mind working late, it seemed perfect. My role was pretty straightforward: monitor the security feed, check the loading docks every couple of hours, and update the activity log. I shared the shift with one other guy, Ravi, but we alternated nights. Tuesday to Saturday were mine. The place was built in the 70s and never really modernized. Inside, it felt like a place time forgot: gray concrete halls, buzzing fluorescent lights, and silent rows of metal storage units. The only sounds were the humming of the refrigeration units from the back, and the occasional echo from rats in the vents. The first few weeks were uneventful, boring, honestly. I'd read books, drink coffee, and patrol the empty docks. But then, one night, I noticed something strange. It was just past 2:30 a.m. I was reviewing the CCTV feed when I saw Unit 14B's light flicker on. It was weird. None of the units had motion sensor lights. Only the corridor lights stayed on at night. Curious, I switched to a different angle. The feed crackled. Static, then a clearer view of 14B. And I swear, for a split second, someone was standing inside the unit. A pale, still figure, facing the wall. I blinked, and it was gone. The light was out again. I did a walkthrough, flashlight in hand, but Unit 14B was locked. The air around it was noticeably cold. I chalked it up to tired eyes and an overactive imagination. I logged the anomaly as a camera glitch. I told myself not to mention it to Ravi. No need to sound crazy, but that was the start. About a week later, more strange things started happening. The security doors at Dock 2 would randomly unlatch around 3 a.m. without being touched. We have a magnetic lock system that requires a badge swipe. I checked the logs, no entry recorded. Yet the door showed unlocked from inside on the digital report. Another night, I was walking through Bay 3 when I saw wet footprints on the cement, barefoot, human-like, as if someone had walked in from rain. Only it hadn't rained in days, and the building was sealed. I followed them cautiously. They ended right in front of Unit 14B. I tried to open it again, still locked. That night, I reviewed old logs out of paranoia, wondering if this was a prank or a security breach. I stumbled across an employee termination record from 2019. A night guard named Hari Vyas had been fired after a breakdown. He'd written in the incident report that someone was living inside Unit 14B. He claimed to have seen them, spoke of the pale woman who would whisper to him from the vents. His words were shaky, handwritten, desperate. She keeps asking me to let her out. I tried to ignore her, but now she's everywhere. She's watching me from the cameras. She's in the mirrors. Hari disappeared 2 days after being let go. Never collected his final paycheck. The case was dropped. I checked his old locker. Empty, except for a small mirror taped inside the door. "Don't turn your back to her," was scratched into it. That night, I decided to quit. I typed out my resignation on my phone and left it in my draft folder, planning to send it the next morning, but I never made it to morning. That final night started like the others. Quiet, too quiet. Around 2:55 a.m., every screen on the CCTV wall went black. Just a second. Then they all came back. But the timestamps were wrong. They showed 3:33 a.m., even though it was only 2:55. On screen 4, the feed from Dock 2 started to shift on its own, zooming into the corner near the cold storage lockers. A figure stood there, the pale woman. She wore a hospital gown, hair matted, with what looked like frost. Her head slowly turned to face the camera, and then the screen cracked. Literally, a thin fracture line crawled across the glass. Then I heard it, a whisper, right behind me. "Let me out." I turned, heart pounding. No one there. Then, the hallway motion detector lights blinked on, one by one. Approaching the control room, someone or something was walking toward me. I locked the control room door, heart racing. I tried to call Ravi, no signal, not even. Emergency dialing worked. Then I noticed the CCTV screen again. It was now looping a live feed of me, inside the room. Only, the reflection on the monitor behind me. It showed two people, one sitting, one standing just behind. I turned. There was no one. Then I saw the storage unit remote access system was rebooting on its own. Every unit blinking green, until 14B. It blinked red, then slowly turned green. It unlocked. That was the first time I ever truly felt frozen, not just from fear, but something colder, something unnatural. I don't remember how I got out of the building. I must have blacked out. I woke up outside, near the dumpsters, soaked in cold sweat. My mouth dry and throat hoarse-like. I'd been screaming for hours. I quit the same day. Blocked every number from that place. Burned my uniform. Didn't even go back for my final check. A few weeks later, I got an unmarked envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photo. A grainy black and white security cam still. Time-stamped 3:33 a.m., showing me in the control room. And Hertha, pale woman right behind me. Her hand resting on my shoulder. I never worked a night shift again, and I never, ever, check mirrors after dark. I started working the night shift at Glassmere Medical Archives, after quitting my job at a call center. The building was an old repurposed mental health facility, shut down in the 90s. Now turned into a government-run archive for medical records and hospital microfilm. My job? Simple. Sit in the records room from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Scan old files into the system, and make hourly rounds to ensure nothing caught fire or flooded. It was always cold, always dim, and completely silent. There were no other staff during my shift, just me, 6 floors of locked archive halls, and a crackling old radio connected to security dispatch that almost never spoke, except once, during my first week. Around 2 a.m., the static broke, and I heard, "Unit C4. Who's in Unit C4? I paused. That section had been sealed for years. I responded, nervous, no one. I'm still in the scanner room. A long silence. Then just, copy. I asked about it the next day, and they told me the system sometimes picked up old recordings. Ghost signals, they called them, harmless. I didn't feel like arguing, but it didn't feel like a glitch. It felt like someone was genuinely asking. It got weirder after that one night. I was scanning files from a psychiatric wing that had burned down in 1996. Patients' records, faded and soot-stained. As I flipped through them, I found one marked, "Do not scan, return to medical director." There was no medical director here anymore. Curious. I read it, anyway. Patient ID, 3824, a name, unknown diagnosis, persistent vocal hallucinations, claims archives speak at night. Scrawled on the bottom of the page, in pen, "Do not listen when it knows your name." I laughed nervously. Probably just an old joke. But that night, as I walked past the stairwell on the 3rd floor, I swear I heard someone whisper, "Aaron." That's my name. I was alone. I tried brushing it off. Lack of sleep, isolation, paranoia. But something was shifting. Each night, the place felt heavier, colder. I stopped using the elevator after it took me to the wrong floor twice, floor B, the basement level, which should have required a key I didn't have. I remember pressing 2, and the button lit up. But the doors opened into darkness, and the air smelled like burnt hair and mold. Then, a few nights later, I saw her. I was doing rounds on the 5th floor, the old pediatric records section. The motion sensor lights turned on as I walked. That's when I saw movement at the far end of the hallway, someone turning into the emergency stairwell. Just a flash of a hospital gown and tangled black hair. I ran to the stairwell door, yanked it open. Empty, but on the wall inside was a smear of blood in the shape of a handprint. I radioed dispatch. Possible intruder. 5th floor stairwell. Visual contact female. Hospital gown. They responded instantly. You're sure it was a woman? Yes. A long pause. Then, you need to leave that floor. Now I obeyed. Didn't ask questions. Later, I reviewed camera footage from the floor, but the screen only showed static from 12 a.m. to 3:33 a.m. Like that section of time had been erased. Every night after that, the same thing. 3:33 a.m. All hallway clocks reset to 0 o'clock, then jumped forward with no record. Lights flickered. Sometimes the fire doors slammed by themselves. Sometimes I found them wide open. The worst was the filing cabinet in room 308. I never opened it, but 3 nights in a row, I found it ajar. Inside was only one folder. No label. Inside that folder was a photo of me, sitting at the scanner station. Dated the night before. Taken from behind. Asterisk, the final night was last Thursday, at around 3:25 a.m. I went down to the 2nd floor, because the motion sensors tripped again. I walked slowly, flashlight cutting through the gloom. The red emergency light was blinking. Someone had opened unit C4, the same one from the strange radio call. I had never seen it unlocked before. As I approached, I heard something from inside breathing, labored, wrong, not like a person's, like something pretending to breathe, against all instinct. I opened the door. Inside was nothing, just metal shelves, scattered files, and what looked like scratch marks on the floor. But there was a mirror leaning against the back wall, and in the mirror, saw her again. She was standing behind me. I turned. Empty room. I looked back. Into the mirror. She was still there. Closer now. Eyes black and mouth stitched shut, with something thin and silver. Then she moved not in the mirror. Behind me. I don't remember running, but I remember the stairwell. I tripped halfway down. My arm still hurts from the landing. I left everything behind: radio, keys, ID. I never went back. I got a call from HR the next day, saying I'd abandoned post. I told them I quit. Told them the building wasn't safe. They laughed, said they'd been through this before. They offered me counseling. Then they emailed me a list of personal effects recovered from my desk. There was one thing I didn't recognize. Item 4. Framed photo, employee at scanner room, timestamp 3:33 a.m. They attached the picture. It was me, staring blankly at the camera. But there was someone else in the room with me, in the shadows, wearing a white gown and no face. I live in a small town now. Work mornings, no basements, no mirrors. But some nights, when I wake up at exactly 3:33 a.m., I still hear my name whispered from inside the walls. And sometimes, I see my reflection move. Just a second too late. Asterisk, asterisk. I work nights at a 24-hour commercial print shop in Bangalore, on a quiet back road lined with old buildings and rusted signage. I run the graveyard shift 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., handling everything from business cards to promotional banners. The place is mostly automated now, but someone still has to monitor the machines, refill ink, cut prints, and handle late-night client jobs. That someone is me. Usually it's dead silent. Orders slow to a crawl after midnight, and I get a lot of time to myself. Just the low mechanical groans of the digital presses, the chemical smell of ink, and the buzzing fluorescent lights. Last week, though, things changed. It was a Tuesday night, technically Wednesday morning. Around 2:40 a.m., I got an urgent email. Subject line: rush job, 300 copies, pickup 4 a.m. Attached was a PDF labeled invitation to return. No contact number. No client name. I opened it. The flyer was bizarre. Grainy black and white, with Gothic fonts, and an old symbol at the center I didn't recognize. It looked like a cross between a church seal and an anatomical drawing of an eye. The invitation text read, Greater than you are cordially invited to return. Where you came from, please, dress in silence. Do not bring the sun with you. I thought it was a joke, maybe a student film promo. But we've done stranger things. I processed the file, sent it to the printer queue, and started the job. That's when the system glitched. The printers jammed twice, then restarted themselves, without prompting. The lights flickered not all at once, just in sequence, down the hallway where we keep the paper stocks, like someone walking under motion sensors. I checked the cameras. One angle camera 3 was offline. The hallway camera. The timestamp had frozen at 2:59 a.m. Then I noticed something else in the batch of printed flyers. One was not like the others. It was a photo, not the invitation design. A black and white surveillance image of me sitting at the control desk. I hadn't printed that. I went cold, froze, looked around, and then the printer started again, but I hadn't touched it. I should have gone home, but the ordered deadline said 4 a.m., and stupidly, I decided to finish the job. I removed the odd photo, double-checked the rest, boxed up the flyers, and walked to the front counter. That's when I noticed the front door was unlocked. We're required to keep it locked after midnight. I'm the only one with the key. My stomach dropped. I ran to the front door. Deadbolt was still engaged, but the door was open, slightly, as if someone had pulled it from the outside hard enough to warp the latch. I stepped out. The entire street was empty. Not a dog barked, not a car moved. But across the road, in the alley between the old tailor shop and the closed jewelry store, I saw someone standing in the dark, not moving, just facing me. I stepped back inside and shut the door tight. Then I checked the cameras again. Camera 1, aimed at the sidewalk, caught the tail end of something walking past. A blur. Bare feet. The clock struck 4 a.m. I turned to the boxed flyers and they were gone. I didn't hear anyone come in. I didn't move. No alerts. Just gone. I played back the footage at 3 hours 59 minutes and 57 seconds. The flyers were on the counter at 4 hours, 0 minutes and 1 second. They weren't, but at 4 hours, 0 minutes and 0 seconds. The screen went black for 1 frame. When it returned, the flyers were missing, and there was a figure caught mid-motion, hunched over the box, hair hanging straight down like soaked string, head tilted at an impossible angle, no face. I called my manager the next morning, told her I needed a transfer. She thought I was joking. The next night, I brought a small knife to work. I didn't tell anyone, just felt safer. Everything was quiet at first. No new jobs. No emails. Until 3:02 a.m. The printer turned on by itself. It started printing something from an unknown source. There was no job ID, no file name, no device listed. I tried canceling the job, but the cancel button was grayed out. The tray filled with a stack of pages, dozens of them. Every single one was a surveillance photo of me. Different nights, different angles. Sometimes I was reading, sometimes eating, but one image, one I know I never lived through, showed me asleep at the scanner desk, and someone standing behind me, whispering into my ear. Then I heard it again, the whisper right next to me. You printed it. You invited us. The computers shut down. Lights flickered and went dark. I backed into the break room, heart slamming, knife in hand. The printers started again. I hadn't restarted them. This time, they printed a final sheet. Just one. I picked it up. It was a certificate, like something from an old library. This workplace has opened the door. This operator has accepted the terms. Your shift has been extended forever. There was a red fingerprint pressed at the bottom. Mine, but I never touched the paper. I quit the next morning, left without pay, moved 2 cities away. I don't touch printers anymore, not even at home. I haven't written a resume. I don't want my name on any document. And yet, 2 nights ago, Someone slipped a flyer under my door. Black and white. Same symbol. No return address. Just the words, "You're next." Shift starts at 3:33 a.m. I didn't open my door, but I think they're already inside. Asterisk, asterisk. My name is Arjun. I worked night security at a government records facility outside Pune. No signage. No windows. Just a 3-story cement structure surrounded by a rusting fence and overgrowth. Most people didn't know it existed. The ones who didn't ask what was inside. That's the kind of job it was. I took the position after 6 months of unemployment. The pay was decent. Shifts were long, and I'd mostly just watch cameras and do rounds in the dark. The first floor was admin. The second held the bulk of the files, rows and rows of old paper documents. Boxers, some dating back to the 1960s. The third level was underground, sub-basement level B. It was restricted, completely off limits, except for one security check at 2 a.m., done alone, once a night. Clearance code 9. They said only I could go down there during my shift. That's why they hired me, a guy who follows rules, doesn't ask too much. For weeks, the shift was silent. Just the hum of the CCTV system, motion sensor beeps, and the occasional call from Central Command. But every time I descended into level B, it felt wrong. The elevator wouldn't make a sound. The lights flickered but never turned fully on. The hallway was tiled like a hospital, with blacked-out doors on each side. Room numbers, B101 to B115. I had to scan a QR tag at the far end. That's all. No opening doors, no touching anything. Just walk to the wall, scan the tag, and leave. But one night, about a month in, I noticed something different. Room B108's door was ajar. I froze. Those doors were always locked, always sealed. I wasn't authorized to touch them. I tried calling. Central. No signal. As I passed the door, I swear, I heard whispering from inside. Not language exactly, more like breath trying to form words. Still, I scanned the tag at the wall. My scanner blinked red, then green, then red again, and then Arjun, a voice whispered, from inside the wall. I didn't sleep that morning. 2 nights later, things escalated. It was a Friday. 1:58 a.m., I was descending into level B again. Flashlight clipped to my vest, spine tense as steel. I told myself, I imagined the voice. Maybe I was just sleep-deprived, but the door to B108 was now wide open. The hallway smelled of rust and ammonia. No alarms, no lights, just cold. I stepped to the edge of the doorway and pointed my flashlight. Inside, the beam caught something. Drawings, carved into the wall's circles, symbols, tally marks, hundreds of tallies. End in the far corner of the room. Something was crouched. It wasn't a person, or if it had been, it no longer was. It was too tall, even folded over. Skin stretched and pale, hair hanging down like soaked rope. Its head tilted slowly toward me, even though I hadn't made a sound. I turned and ran. The scanner at the wall buzzed red again. I skipped it and hit the elevator button. It didn't come. I ran the stairs instead, taking them 3 at a time until I burst into the first-floor security office. My breath came in dry gulps. I checked the camera feeds. Level B was offline, all of it. Static. Then, from the security phone, a single message. It's not locked anymore. Asterisk. I planned to quit. That Saturday would be my last shift. When I arrived, at 10:45 p.m., there were no cars in the lot. No lights on. Power was out. My access card still worked, but the lobby was lit only by emergency bulbs. The air was wrong, stagnant, and humming, like a storm trapped underground. I sat in the guard room, flashlight on the desk. All the camera feeds were down, except one. Camera B-108. It showed the inside of the room, except the image flickered, blurred, distorted like heat waves. Then, the frame stabilized. There was a figure in the room, me, sitting in the corner, face in my hands, rocking back and forth. I was still watching when the me in the feed looked directly at the camera and smiled. I shut down the monitor and backed away, but the elevator doors behind me opened by themselves. There was no light inside, just a soft scraping sound, and then a whisper. "Clock in, Arjun. Your shift never ended." I ran. I left the building, left my ID, never looked back. I told no one. Who would believe me? But sometimes, around 2 a.m., I wake up in my apartment, and the hallway light is on, and my bedroom door is slightly ajar. There are footprints, wet barefoot on the tiles outside. I moved twice. It keeps following. Every week, I get a blank envelope with one QR code inside. I scanned it once. The screen just said, B108. Still open, and the scanner blinked red dot then green. Asterisk. I'm Arav. I took a night security job at a private tech firm in Gurugram, mostly because it paid better than anything else I could land with just a diploma and a stack of unpaid bills. The company Virion Labs had a reputation for being secretive, the kind of place that keeps its windows tinted and its departments walled off from one another. I didn't care what they were researching. I was there to watch the cameras, make rounds, and clock out. The building was sleek and sterile. My shift started at 10 p.m., and I had the entire building to myself till 6 a.m. The place was dead silent after midnight. No janitors, no IT, just the soft hum of servers and the ticking of the wall clock. There were 5 floors, all offices, except floor B1, the basement level. It had only one room, observation 5, with a one-way mirror and a chair bolted to the floor. I wasn't told what the room was used for. I was just told never to go inside. Just check that the door was locked during rounds. It was always locked, until it wasn't. On my 6th night, as I walked down to B1, at 2 a.m., the hallway lights flickered, and the motion sensor didn't register my presence right away. The digital lock on observation 5 blinked green as I approached. The door creaked open. I should have reported it. I should have radioed my supervisor. But my curiosity got the better of me. Inside, the room was freezing cold, stale. The walls were lined with soundproof foam, and the only light came from a faint blue strip above the mirror. When I looked into the mirror, expecting to see myself reflected, I didn't. Instead, I saw a chair, an empty room, but not mine. The furniture was different. The walls were concrete, cracked, and far in the corner, there was movement. Something crawling slowly toward the glass. I stumbled back out and slammed the door shut. I checked the feed from the hallway camera later. It showed me entering room 5, but never coming out. Asterisk. The next night, I arrived early, jittery, and exhausted. But the door to the security office was already open. My desk chair was slightly spun to the left. The screens were on. Someone had already logged in using my ID. I checked the logs. Someone had done a full patrol of the building using my badge. Same routes, same timestamps, only it wasn't me. I pulled up the footage from the security cams. Sure enough, it showed me, walking the hallways, looking into cameras, smiling faintly. Except, it wasn't my smile. It was too wide, the mouth too stiff, the eyes unblinking. At 3:03 a.m., the doppelganger entered observation room 5 and never came back out. But I hadn't gone near that floor. The system refused to delete the logs. My supervisor didn't answer my texts. I called HR anonymously from my phone later. They said there was no record of anyone named Arav working night security. Not at Virion, not anywhere. They asked if this was a prank call. That night, I tried to quit, but when I came home, my apartment door was unlocked. Inside, every surface had a mirror placed on it, cheap ones, plastic frames, like someone bought them in bulk. Each one had a sticky note. Don't look directly. I looked anyway, and in every single mirror, I was sitting in observation room 5, smiling, waiting, asterisk the following night. I didn't go in. I turned off my phone, unplugged everything, took a cheap hotel room 3 hours away, and stayed up with the lights on. At 2:01 a.m., someone knocked on the door, 3 soft taps. Then silence. Then a whisper through the crack. "Shift's not over, RF. You're due?" I didn't answer, but I checked the PEEPHOLE. No one was there. I opened the door a crack stupate. I know, and taped to the outside wall was a Virian visitor pass with my name and a timestamp. 3:33 a.m. Observation only. I burned it, or tried to. The badge didn't blacken. It melted like plastic, releasing a smell like burning hair. Now every time I catch my reflection window glass, microwave door, a car mirror, I see that room again, the chair, the blue light dot, and sometimes he's in it. My double dot, sitting dot, smiling dot. But last night it changed. I was the one in the chair, and he was outside, watching me. It's 9:14 p.m. now. My phone just turned itself on. The screen glitched to static, then showed the text, greater than its time. The night shift waits. I haven't blinked in 10 minutes. My face feels stiff, and I swear, the mirror across the room just showed me standing up, even though I haven't moved. Asterisk.